In the previous lesson, we removed the flavors JSON column, including all of its data, and created a relation, which now gives us a total of 3 tables in our database. Coffee, which represents coffees, flavor, which represents flavors, and coffee flavors flavor, which represents the coffee flavor many-to-many relation. So now that we have set up our relation in the previous lesson, how can we make sure our endpoints retrieve all dissociated data? Our get/coffees endpoint currently returns a list of entities, but without the flavor relations we've associated with it. Even though we define the relationship coffee with flavors, the flavor field won't automatically be populated in our response. But why? This is because relations are not eagerly loaded by default. We have to explicitly specify what relations we want to be resolved when calling the find method of the repository. To fix this, let's open up our coffee service and update our 2 get endpoint handlers to include this relation and make sure flavors gets populated. Let's start with the find all method. TypoRM allows us to pass in many different conditions or options to the repository methods. If we go to definition on the find, for example, you can see all the different options for every one of the methods available to repository. Let's dive in a little deeper and see what find many options are. In this interface, we can see we're able to pass in things like skip or take, which we'll be using later for pagination. But it looks like this interface is extending another one. Let's keep digging and see what find one options contains. In here, we have a lot of common database operations for things like join, where, order, etc. In our case, we're looking for relations, which we can see as an array of strings. Perfect. Let's go back to our coffee service and use it. Let's pass this find options object into our find method, entering in relations with an array with the string flavors inside of it. We're passing in flavors here since we've labeled that column as our relation for coffee. Great. Now let's update our find one get method to make sure it's using relations and populating flavors as well. Inside our find one, let's pass in a second parameter after ID and pass in the same thing. An object with relations that's a string of flavors. Let's save our changes, head to Insomnia, and call the find all get endpoint /coffees once again and see if it works. As you can see, each object now contains the resolved flavors relation. Excellent. One last thing, let's test the find one get endpoint by checking coffees /2 for example. And great, it works as well. And just like that, we're all set.